Hey everybody, Economic Ninja here. I hope you're doing well. We're going to talk about an article out of the Hedge. You know what? Hold on. This is so unprofessional. Totally sideways. I don't know what I was thinking. But gosh, Ninja, why wouldn't you just start the video over again? That's so unprofessional. Well, I'm unprofessional. All right, guys, here we go. Boise's pandemic-driven housing boom begins to crack. What? Wait a minute. Real estate does nothing but go up, Ninja. That's all it does. It's never gonna stop going up. This time is different. No, it is different. It's a lot worse. We pegged this insanity in the housing market to 11. Why? I know. Finish my sentence in the comment section. I love that quote. All right, it says cracks in one of the nation's hottest housing markets could be an early indication that the virus pandemic work from anywhere housing boom could cool as mortgage rates soar and affordability becomes an issue. You know, when I said the term "this time is different" and I said no joke it is, man, is that it's so crazy to think about this. So first off, before the pandemic started, rates were sitting around, I want to say they were at like, I don't remember, they were like 4.5%, something like that. This is off my top of my head. Sorry, guys. I don't have a whiteboard with like 10 hours of prepping for you guys. But they were high, right? We just passed that mark. And then what happened was, as everything cratered, interest rates started to fall, right? Because everybody started getting scared. They dove into the bond market. There were so many buyers of bonds that the 10-year just came down right off, just came down sharply. Well, in turn, and it's not just the 10-year, it was all kinds of things, like promises from the Federal Reserve and central banks around the world for easy monetary policy to come out. They're all being dovish. It drove mortgage rates down, right? So you have, now all of a sudden people go like, what do you mean I could get a 30-year fix for 2.6% or 2.5%, right? I even know of somebody that got a 15-year mortgage at 1.9%. It's just insane, right? Well, of course that led to massive, wild speculation in the real estate market. But also, like they're saying here in this story, and I know I'm digressing, but I'm going somewhere with this. You saw also people just leave. They just went, what do you mean I don't have to work from home? And what's crazy, this is what did blow me away. A lot of people just went, I can telework? And they're like, yeah, cool. I'm like moving out of the state. And I always used to think, I go, well, what happens if all of a sudden the epidemic, pandemic, whatever, just stopped right like that? And they all said, okay, come back to work. And they went, oh, what you said, well, yeah, we said that, but it wasn't forever. I just sort of blew me away, right? Now it is looking like that is going to stick, right? A lot of CFOs figured out like, what do you mean? We don't got to pay rent for these people to sit around and talk around a water cooler? I can now measure exactly their workflow and know exactly, how much work I'm getting for $1. That is epic. So yeah, that is sticking around. It's going to lead to tons and tons of layoffs over time. And I mean, trust me, the rise of the robots during this thing too. They're like, what do you mean? I'll flip burgers. I don't need a raise. I mean, people, sorry, I'll flip burgers. I don't need a raise. I had to do that a little bit better. Come on, Johnny 5. If you guys know what movie that's from, Johnny 5, in relation to robots, let me know in the comment section. My point being is this. People took off and they moved to all these cities and it blew the home prices up. And I'm sure Boise's all, yeah, some of you crazy Californians came. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. But it's true. People just picked up their crap and they left and they blew up housing markets. Well, now Boise's starting to change. So here we go. It says right here, in a weekend op-ed, this was in Bloomberg, Jonathan Levin wrote, if you're wondering where the U.S. real estate market might start to show its first cracks, keep an eye on Boise, Idaho. And everybody knows Boise is one of those massive hotspots that just blew up in value. Housing got super tight and they're trying to catch up, but they just can't. So Levin is right. During the pandemic, Boise saw a massive influx of Californians purchasing homes in the region. Now the rush could be stalling. And I've talked about this before. There's only so many people from California that are going to leave. And there's only so many people with that much cash to go and just bid up these places, okay? There's a point where it stops, okay? California is not a breadbasket of rich idiots running around just going, I'm going to blow my money and bring my politics everywhere. Trust me, California is not full of those people. It's a small little, we're going to call them a special segment of California. The masses are awesome actually out here. I love where I live. I do. I'm frustrated by the politics, but I love the people. I live in one of the best towns in California. They're awesome, hardworking Americans. It says Zillow data shows the average home price in Boise rose just 0.4% in March, down from 4.1% in June. 10%. So like a 90% drop. That's impressive. That's fast ninja math. I know you guys are jumping on calculators right now. Let me know my difference. The difference between 0.4% in March as opposed to 4.1% in June. Okay? The slowdown is hitting some western mountain towns now, but it's also likely to catch up with Austin, Texas, Phoenix, and Tampa, Florida, among others. So I'm going to stop here. I'm going to link this story below because I think it's important for you guys to read, but I'm going to explain something in real estate. In 2005, when we were hitting peak craziness in the housing market, and I was starting to get really leery in mid 2005, like something's not right. So we started to start to liquidate our homes. We were out by mid 2006. What you have to understand is when housing blows up in a town or a city, what happens is it gets so expensive, people start to look outside of that city in the suburbs, right? And they start to commute to work because the suburbs are cheaper. But then as the city is expensive and then the suburbs get really expensive, and then all of a sudden the housing starts to slow, the city gets expensive, the suburbs get expensive, then you see the outlying areas in the suburbs, right? Where your commute time is getting blown out of proportion. It's just crazy. Those start to get expensive. Well, here's the deal. You know you're starting a real estate collapse as the sales start to wane in not the suburbs, but those outlying areas outside of the suburbs where you would never have wanted to live normally, but you're like, it's all I can afford. So I'm living out there. When those start to wane and you start seeing price drops, then what happens is a few months later, maybe a year later, you start to see price drops and the same thing in the suburbs, and then it starts to literally regress back into the city. So the real estate correction starts in the outlying areas around the suburbs, then it affects the suburbs, then it affects the cities. And right now, what I believe you are seeing is those it's totally weird because we've never seen this before in our country's history, where it's like this great expansion where people just left these states and went out of state into other states. I mean, it just exploded. New York and California just literally exploded on the scene where they just took their money and their politics with them, sadly. Point being is that we've never seen anything like this. So now Boise is one of those places that are getting hit, and it's going to get hit hard. It's going to be like a big smack in the face. Now, what blows me away is what people aren't talking about yet is all those people that bought literally just simply a year ago saw like a 20% increase in their home prices, right? They're just super pumped, but they had already bought in a inflated environment, right? Because they weren't the first people there to start buying up all that real estate. They're going to lose bad when this thing starts to fall off a cliff. Now, if you don't move and you need a place to live, you never lose, right? Value is only perception. It's only worth anything you have is only worth what a buyer is willing to pay. And if you can't sell it, you just stay there. And if you have a job, it doesn't affect you. It doesn't matter. But that stuff does mess with speculators' minds. Like I said before, I know people in 2008 that literally walked away from a house, not because they lost their job, not because they lost wages, or they went down, right? Or inflation was exploding. It was simply, and I heard them say it out loud, why would I pay a mortgage on a house that is not worth what I paid for? Those are fools. They're speculators. They are dreamers. They aren't living in reality. So they left and they saved a couple $100 on rent. And then guess what happened? A couple years later, they were paying more in rent than if they would have stayed in the house. Why? Because their landlord raised rent on them. Because as everybody else started to do that and flood into rental market, the rental market got hot. It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy to me. So I wanted to show you guys that because we're starting to see, and I've been documenting this, like when I called the top of the real estate market in July, still hold true to that. The market is not based on price. It is based on multiple factors. The available inventory, the velocity of inventory, how many buyers are out there. That is very important. There are few buyers. You can't make this stuff up. The National Association of Realtors tracks how many homes sell every year. And right now we are in record low inventory, okay? That doesn't mean we're in a hot market. That actually means we're failing because average people, all of you guys listening right now would love a bigger house, but can you afford it? No, you can't, because inflation is stealing your income, and your income is not going up to keep up with inflation. So you can't sell your house and move up, not only because of inflation, but also now rising interest rates. All right, guys, I thank you so much for watching. We are documenting the real estate crash as it unfolds. Cannot wait till the fall. Woo! And the only reason I say that is because you got to be excited. You got to be pumped. When you know bad things are coming, only a fool doesn't do anything to prepare. A smart and prudent person, an investor, gets ready and wants to capitalize this. The only difference is I want to take 1 million people with me. And I believe we're going to do this, guys. I believe NinjaNation is going to be prepared because they're not scared. All right, guys, with that being said, the Economic Ninja is out.